What were your duties usually on the plane?
As a mission crew commander, on the AWACS itself, there's two commanders. There's the aircraft commander. The aircraft commander is responsible for the flight safety of the aircraft and flying you from point A to point B, doing the aerial refueling if you're doing any refueling, etc. And basically, outside of that, primarily the flight safety of the aircraft. The mission crew commander, because it's so big and has so much equipment on it and so much that it actually does tactically, we have a mission crew commander that is in charge of the back end of the airplane, all the equipment, all the sensors and the communications equipment, etc., and all the people in the back. As I said earlier, we normally flew with anywhere from a 25 to a 40-person crew, 4 people in the flight deck, and the rest of the crew back-enders, if you will. And I was a mission crew commander in charge of the back. We had, at Tinker, we normally had 6 Canadians that flew in that role. And the other positions, including aircraft commander, we have Canadians in all the positions that fly on the American AWACS. We had enough at one point that we did fly one mission out of Tinker with an all-Canadian crew, which was rather unique to do it. But so we had people over a period of time. We get access to all the different positions on the airplane, and we flew in all the different roles.
How often did you fly?
While you're at home in Tinker, you were supposed to fly a minimum of once a month to stay current. Really prefer that you fly twice a month to stay current. During the Gulf War, Desert Shield and Desert Storm, we were usually flying every 3rd day. You take 1 day to mission plan, plan it to death exactly what time you're showing up, what time you're getting briefed, what time you're taking off, exactly when your aircraft are showing up, what every person on the airplane is doing throughout the entire mission, whether you're doing aerial refueling and so on. Plan your mission entirely, very thoroughly for the entire mission. That, depending on the complexity of the mission, takes 8 to 12 hours. Then the American regulation, very similar to Canada, is that you must be in crew rest 12 hours before you fly. Again, you're flying a $400 million airplane. You don't want to be tired when you're flying that airplane, whether you're at war or flying in peacetime. Still, same value. And then we'd come out of crew rest, get picked up in Descon Village, about a 40-minute drive in, do our final brief, go to the airplane. That whole thing would take about 2.5 hours before you'd fly. And you'd fly anywhere from a 12 to an 18-hour mission. About a 2-hour debrief at the end of it, another 40 minutes, 45 minutes to get back to Descon Village. So you're looking at about a 24, 25-hour day, plus your 12 hours, 8 to 12 hours of mission planning that you had the day before. And then you would get a day rest. And if we were allowed to go downtown, that's when we go downtown for a couple hours and do some sightseeing or buy some jewelry or gold or whatever. And gold is really good in Saudi Arabia, very well known for their gold souks, gold stores, what they there. And then you would start the cycle all over again. And the only variant to that cycle would be whether you were flying your 12 hours daytime or 12-hour nighttime. And it didn't really matter. I mean, 12 hours in the airplane's 12 hours in the airplane, whether it's day or night. The mission was exactly the same, and you were doing exactly the same job. So it made for an extremely long day, and you get old really fast doing a 24-hour cycle, but that's what you do. Maintain the integrity of the flight safety of the aircraft by carrying an augmented crew. That's how we would go from the 25 to the 40. We would carry an extra pilot, an extra flight engineer, and so on. So one of our pilots could be resting, and they would take turns resting. So for takeoff, landing, and your air refueling, we always had a very alert pilot sitting in the cockpit for it. We didn't have quite the same luxury for the back end of the airplane. There just wasn't enough room. And occasionally we would fly with a second mission crew commander or a second senior director, but it's very, very seldom that we had an opportunity to do that. You're there and you're awake for the 12 to 18 hours that you're flying, then you stay awake and do your job.
Now, when you were flying, these were not bombers at all?
Oh, no. It's a straight surveillance type of aircraft. As a matter of fact, we carried no armament of any kind, not even for self-protection. The radome itself, the unclassified range of the radar is 300 miles. So you can sit back quite a ways from the edge of the battle area, if you will. You can sit quite a ways back, have fighters between you and the enemy, and you're relatively safe unless you deliberately take your aircraft into harm's way, or you have to get that close to be able to see where you want to see. From the southern border, Baghdad was about 350 miles north of where we were, 350 to 400 miles. So if you wanted to see into Baghdad, you were getting pretty close to the Iraqi border. If you weren't interested for that particular mission, you could stay a ways back from the Iraqi border at the time. Or any other conflict, it's the same principle. Having that 300-mile radar is your only protection that you have on the AWACS. We did not carry any weapons of any kind.